Welcome to CNB, a bit of a different setting for us this week because it is time for the annual SIAM convention. That's the Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers, and this year the convention takes on a whole different meaning because of course the industry is in the grips of its biggest crisis possibly ever. We're talking not just about a sales slowdown but a big revolution that the industry is going through. But don't worry, we will not disappoint you because that's not the only reason you tuned into this show. You really want to see the very latest that we have to offer from the world of wheels, and so I won't disappoint you. Before we tell you what's happening here at SIAM and what people here think about the future of the industry, we will of course show you that big showdown that all of you have been asking for. The new Kia Seltos takes on its rivals. Not one, not two, three of them. It is new, it is an SUV, it's connected and already making waves. Yes, we're talking about the Kia Seltos, which we drove at length in Goa and it left us with a very good impression. But the Seltos has its work cut out for itself in the competitive compact SUV market in India. And now it finally meets its rivals. After all the hype, the anticipation and the long wait, the Kia Seltos finally has arrived. It has already created quite the storm, and I don't just mean because of its prices. It's everything that this car offers that's really shaking up this segment. And so, speaking of the segment, the only thing left to do really was to bring it into that mix and really pit it against its rivals to see if it really is as bad beep as it's being touted as. Yes, that's a word I don't think we should be using on television or on online video, so I won't say it. But having said that, I know the first thing you're all going to do is say, hang on, why are there just 4 cars here? And you're going to sort of jump down my throat because you'd prefer to see 8. Well, I have a little bit of a rationale there that I want to quickly set the record straight with. You've got 2 other cars at 2 ends here. On that side of the spectrum, when you talk about just sheer pricing, you would have the Renault Captur and of course below that the Duster. And on the other end of the price spectrum would be the Tata Harrier and the Jeep Compass. So that's really what the width or breadth of that segment looks like. Having said that, the Seltos kind of operates right in the sweet spot of that segment, and so from a customer relevance point of view, it's really these cars that really matter more and really become the actual rivals for the new Seltos, which is why they're here. While the Creta has been the benchmark in the segment, it is the advent of the Seltos and the Hector which really took things to the next level, especially in terms of connectivity. Yes, both the Seltos and Hector are connected cars. The Yuvo Connect technology on the Seltos comes laden with 37 features, which include geofencing, remote lock and unlock, amongst others. There is a 10.2-inch touchscreen that offers excellent graphics and a ton of features. The Hector's iSmart technology gives you over 50 connected features and does away with all buttons on the dashboard thanks to that 10.4-inch HD vertical touchscreen. And then there is that virtual assistant and close to 100 voice commands that the MG Hector understands. The top trims of the Hector also have preloaded content on that screen.
The Nissan Kicks is the least equipped SUV in the comparison that we have here. But then, the Kicks, it also has its unique USPs. For example, this 360-degree camera. If only Nissan had introduced this feature in its SUVs, say about a couple of years ago, maybe on the Terrano. That way, it would have ensured the Terrano or the Kicks have stayed at the top of the game. As far as connectivity is concerned, yes, the Kicks is not a connected car, but then Nissan is also offering the Nissan Connect app. You can download that and you can practically get all the connectivity features that you want through that app.
So yes, the connectivity round goes to the MG Hector with the Seltos in second place, followed by the Nissan Kicks and then the Hyundai Creta. But let's get to the meat of the matter, the engines. The Seltos sets the bar high with that 1.4-litre turbo petrol GDI engine and also a 1.5-litre petrol and diesel with gearbox options that are varied, manuals of course, and 3 different kinds of automatics. So most of the SUVs in this segment are kind of doing it right, and they're all of course going to transition one way or the other to BS6, but that's the good thing with the Seltos. It's already driving in BS6 ready. There's a very clear strategy on that. There are 2 petrols, so you've got different price points. You've got automatic options and credible ones, no AMTs on every engine type, and there I'm including the basic petrol too, and a very clear strategy when it comes to diesel. Yes, it will be BS6. Yes, it will have this automatic option as well. And I think that is why, again, without a doubt, it is the Seltos that scores really high on drivetrain. The Creta also gets 3 engine options, which are the 1.4 and 1.6 diesel and the 1.6 petrol. While the Kicks gets the same 1.5-litre petrol and diesel engines from the Duster. The MG Hector offers a 1.5-litre petrol, a 2-litre diesel engine as well. Both engines get a 6-speed manual transmission, while it is the petrol that offers a 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox, and then there's also a variant on the petrol with a mild hybrid. If we consider sheer engine performance, it's the Seltos which takes the win very comprehensively. Not only performance but tractability, and the big bonus is that all its engines are already BS6 compliant. With that round done, time to move on to drivability. The Nissan Kicks is the surprise here. The ride quality is supple and the car handles well too, but it still can't outdo the Seltos with its measured ride and agile handling and that suspension which has been tuned really well for India. The Seltos is far ahead of its rivals.
Before the likes of the Jeep Compass, Tata Harrier, and more recently the Kia Seltos and the MG Hector, the Hyundai Creta was one of the benchmarks when it came to ride and handling. Yes, the Renault Duster, it is up there, but the Creta, it wasn't that far behind.
The MG Hector does take quite a beating here because it does suffer on ride quality and it is behind the others on overall driving experience. The size of the Hector is a factor here, plus the small wheel size that hampers that ride quality. That said, the Hector is the most spacious SUV of the lot. The seats are well bolstered and the occupants are ensconced in luxury too. The knee room at the rear is the best, with more than adequate space for 5 adults to sit comfortably. The Kicks gets lesser knee room at the rear, but the seats are well bolstered too. Ergonomically though, it isn't the best. The Creta scores over the Kicks in terms of space and comfort, with better knee and shoulder room, but the seats aren't as comfortable. The Seltos again treads the middle path here. It isn't the roomiest, But it's very comfortable and the interior feels a whole lot more premium as well. Plus the front seats are ventilated and you know how much we love that. Let's now get down to the looks. The Hector with its size and mean face is appealing and will get a lot of takers. The Seltos is the elegant, handsome one with its subtle styling cues and sleek lines all around and a lot of modernity. The Kicks has the most aggressive stance amongst the SUVs here, and the design is quite edgy too, especially with the contrast roof. And the facelift on the Creta has refreshed the appeal of the bestseller in the segment too. It's creature comforts that put the Seltos right on top of its rivals again. Connectivity, air purifier, ventilated seats as I mentioned, top-notch fit and finish and high levels of equipment make the Kia SUV really desirable. The Hector is also not far behind with its panoramic sunroof and ambient lighting and a whole lot of other goodies in that touchscreen. The Creta definitely ranks above the Kicks in terms of the wireless charger, the electrically adjustable power driver side seat and a sunroof. While the Kicks can claim to have the more intuitive infotainment system, rain sensing wipers and of course that 360-degree surround camera. The prices of the Kia Seltos start at 9,69,000 rupees for the base petrol variant and go all the way to 15,99,000 rupees for the top spec 1.4 litre turbo petrol with DCT. Having said that, a GTX Plus variant is also on the way, as is an HDX Plus variant, both automatic, and that means the prices will be a little bit higher. The Hector's petrol range starts from 12,18,000 rupees and goes all the way to 16,78,000 rupees. The base variant of the petrol model on the Seltos and the Hector have a difference of almost 2.5 lakh rupees. Variant for variant, the Seltos seems to be priced much more competitively than the Hector, and yes, we acknowledge that it is a slightly smaller car. The big surprise here is that the base variant of the Seltos is priced lower than the Hyundai Creta. Yes, the Seltos undercuts the Creta, but the Kicks manages to undercut all of them, with prices starting at 9,55,000 rupees, so it is the most affordable. The Creta gets a 3-year warranty with unlimited kilometers, while the Kicks has a 2-year warranty with 50,000 kilometers, but can offer you an extended warranty of 5 years and 1 lakh kilometers. The Seltos gets a 3-year warranty as well, also with unlimited kilometers, while the Hector has the best warranty package, 5 years and unlimited kilometers. Taking price and warranty into consideration, the Seltos, yet again, trumps this round too.
Over the past decade in India, the compact SUV has really come into its own. I mean, this is a hugely popular segment, one that's seen tremendous growth year on year. And the car that you can say kind of started it all was, of course, the Renault Duster. That was many years ago. But the one that's really taken this segment into its own massive space, undoubtedly, is the Creta. Now, when this car first came in, I was the one who said it is overpriced, but guess what? Everybody loves it, and it's created that benchmark. It's also established that price segment in a very firm way, and so which is why that's no longer a worry, which is also why there have been so many rivals that came right after the Creta and its success, yet it managed to hold on to its top spot. But has that benchmark moved? Now, each of these cars that you see here, and yes, I admit, even the cars that you don't see here, have done something individually important or different. What am I talking about? Each one has its own USP, whether it's on performance or rideability or comfort or even technology. Well, that's the thing. Which car brings all of that together, packages it well, and still prices quite reasonably attractively? Yes, you knew the answer even before we started this entire story. It is the Kia Seltos. It's the car that brings all of those things not just into one package, but does each one quite admirably, sets new benchmarks, and will certainly mean that all the competition from here on is only going to get better. So the Seltos does a lot for its segment, and like I said, you knew it from the start, undoubtedly is our winner.
So earlier in the show, you saw the Seltos very convincingly beating its rivals. And the question that was asked, of course, has been, how come Kia has managed this great success at a time when the industry is down in the dumps? Well, let's not get a little carried away with that because it's a new brand. There was a lot of anticipation, but it's not grown the market, has it? And that's the thing with every new launch that's been successful of late, be it the Venue, be it the MG Hector, and now, of course, the Seltos. Yes, there's an SUV theme to it, but that's where the crisis really hits home. The industry is worried about how it can sustain itself going forward, especially at a time when there are also so many structural changes. You know, we've had new safety norms kick in. BS6 is just around the corner. So what can the industry do from here? That is exactly the topic of discussion here at the annual SIAM convention, and we have all the big voices for you.
It's been a tough time for the auto industry with sales falling continuously over the past couple of years. It faced multi-pronged issues starting with demonetization, introduction of GST, rise in insurance and registration costs, unavailability of liquidity, and the biggest of them all, the BS6 norms which kick in April 2020 onwards. These problems left a dark cloud looming over the automobile industry, and what it's waiting for is probably a silver lining. The fact that the Indian automotive industry is in the midst of a slowdown is old news. The million-dollar question here is how to pull the industry collectively out of the gloom. So the week that has just went by, it has been very, very important. 3 very important conventions have been held by the Federation of Automotive Dealers of India, the Society of Indian Automotive Manufacturers, and now the Automotive Component Manufacturers Association. So we had the opportunity to speak to key industry personnel and take their views on what can be done to combat the situation and how best can we make the most of the resources available to us. Here's a look. At the 59th SIAM annual conclave, Union Minister of Transport Nitin Gadkari clearly stated that the government is doing all it can to revive the auto industry.
पहली बात आपको ये क्लियर बता दूं कि किसी भी प्रकार से पेट्रोल और डीजल व्हीकल को बैन करने का, स्टॉप करने का कोई भी इरादा सरकार का नहीं है। ऐसा काम कोई भी हम करने वाले नहीं हैं।
There was big news for hybrid vehicles too. It is expected that GST on hybrid cars will be reduced by 38%, and that's massive. Even with the festive season almost here, industry captains are not convinced that the buying sentiment will improve. The sense of apprehension is palpable.
Festivals are already around, and unfortunately we are not able to see the traction or the green shoots based on these announcements which has been made. So it's very difficult to really assess what kind of demand uptake is going to happen. Since last year industry figure is already available with us, so comparing to that in 2018 numbers and what we are currently going through, I do not see that there will be some positivity. The industry may still continue to show a high double-digit negative growth compared to the 2018.
Another issue that is plaguing the auto industry is the availability of loans, which C.V. Raman, Senior Executive Director, Engineering at Maruti Suzuki, clearly explains.
Actually, it has to get translated into the banking system, the liquidity improvement. Today we heard Mr. Uday Kotak saying that liquidity is not an issue. Basically, it's the rating of the customer also is important. So if anybody, the creditworthiness of the customer is good, so obviously there is no difficulty in him or her getting a loan today.
At the second auto retail conclave of Federation of Automotive Dealers Association in Delhi, the stakeholders too reflected the somber mood prevailing amidst what could be called the worst slowdown till date. And this is of course causing dealerships to take a hit on inventory.
Inventory has been a worry to us. Obviously, it will be a worry to a dealer if sales are not growing. All costs become a worry, and if you are carrying higher inventory, that's a major cost for the dealers. The passenger vehicle inventory, most of the OEMs have regulated that in the recent past, and now we are almost near normal. The FADA recommended inventory is 21 days, but almost across all the OEMs and in most of the geographies, we are now down to 30 days.
Along with SIAM and FADA, The Automobile Components Manufacturers Association, or ACMA, too voiced its concerns regarding a uniform GST rate of 18% across the board, and along with it, a clear-cut stand on whether there will be any GST reduction or not.
We are very grateful to the government for some of the steps that have been initiated, which should hopefully lead to better liquidity and hence better demand. But a lot more needs to be done, including reduction of GST. And if GST has not to be reduced, a clear announcement that this is not being done so that the customer is not waiting anymore. At this point of time, the customers are all waiting, hoping for a GST cut. We would like to see a GST cut, but if that is not to happen, let it be clarified.
The government has assured that it will take up the GST reduction request when the GST Council meets on 20th September in Goa.
As far as the GST is concerned, it will be taken up in the GST Council meeting, and that will be finally debated and discussed in that, and any outcome is a unanimous decision taken by the committee itself.
But it remains to be seen whether the auto industry pulls itself out of the gloom and doom situation with the festive season coming and hopefully GST reduction too. The revival journey will be long and slow, but with little help from the government, the silver lining could very well be here.
And that is pretty much a wrap here on CNB. You've got to react to what you've seen today, especially that big shootout at the top, and also what you think about what's happening with the automobile industry, because remember, it represents almost half of India's manufacturing GDP. And so it's not just about the industry or its sales, it's also about jobs, and it's also about a big contribution to India's economy. Please react to all of that. Please do wear your seatbelts or your helmets, and please join us next week.